Hello, my name is Rasul Harleston, and I am 17 years old. The title of my paper today is The Decline of American Comics and How to Fix It. Ever since I discovered the Superhero Squad show when I was about 5 years old, I developed a deep, deep passion for comics. At the age of 6, I discovered the game entitled The Superhero Squad Online. It was at this point that I discovered that there was an entire universe of superheroes beyond the core 5 that was in Superhero Squad. My experiences continued to broaden as I journeyed from children's shows to comic books, live action films, to video games. I was on an amazing journey that kept leading me to new roads and exciting new adventures. My love for comics evolved from reading the classic stories of iconic heroes such as Spider-Man, Gambit, Nightcrawler, Superman, and Batman. So inspired by these, I made the decision to pursue the storyteller career and an animation career within this incredible industry. And now, let me take you back on a trip. Back when comics were good. The golden age of American comics. Once upon a time, there were two mystical eras, known as the 80s and the 90s. The superhero group known as the X-Men defined this era, and they were the ones that captured my attention. This pop culture phenomenon gained traction in the 1980s and hit its peak at the 1990s. The X-Men were the flagship brand of Marvel, whose success spawned the television shows, video games, and toy lines. The X-Men belonged to a species or a subspecies of humans called the mutants. Mutants' appearances varied from human-looking to borderline alien-like, but the common denominator was that they each had superpowers. And the best part about this is, the X-Men were not just typical white American males. They had Africans, Irishmen, Latinos, Canadians, Native Americans, women, and many other groups represented. This diverse cast of characters, with their own unique voices, provided depth and breadth and had major audience appeal. The character identities did not overshadow the storyline, but rather enhanced it. This feature played a major role in the key to the success of the X-Men series. Although I was born well after the golden age of comics, these stories were so influential that I read them even during my era. After all, this was classic Marvel, which had extremely intriguing stories that were both universal and timeless. Well, okay, now I'm going to take you to the present, the decline since the mystical era. Following the 2 decades, American comics remained popular and enjoyable. Readership was strong, and Marvel did not have to rely on movie promotions to popularize the comic book titles. Comic events such as Civil War and Avengers vs. X-Men, as well as on the DC side, comics such as Batman, Suicide Squad, and Justice League carried the comics industry for that period of time. However, shortly thereafter, new trends began to emerge that led to the downfall of American comics. The culture and identity of the characters were no longer created authentically and originally. Identity swapping became popular for the purposes of political messaging. This was noticeable when Captain Marvel's female counterpart, Carol Danvers, aka Miss Marvel, assumed the role of Captain Marvel, a historically male character. This was the pivotal moment when Marvel entered a state of decline, and shortly thereafter, DC Comics started to follow. Tokenized characters compromised the story, resulting in illogical narratives and weakened plots. Additionally, the roles of heroes and villains are being reversed. Currently, heroes are becoming more and more corrupt, while villains are becoming more and more likable and relatable. For example, Superman, the Injustice storyline, great story by the way, was drugged into killing Lois Lane and their unborn son, which set off a bomb wired to Lois's heartbeat, killing millions in Metropolis. He was shaped, molded, whatever you want to call it, into a fascist dictator that kills indiscriminately man, woman, or child. Lastly, the comic book genre was once an art form used to escape the issues of the real world. Today, comics are being used to mirror the issues of the real world. As a result of these deviations, box office sales have tanked, readership has fallen off, comic fans have left seeking new genres, anime and manga have soared in popularity, and independent comics have become an ideal choice. Okay, now I talked about the past, and I talked about the present, now I'm going to talk about the future. How to fix American comics in the roadmap to get there. After a robust conversation with an industry insider with 35 plus years in the comics and animation industry, we both agree on the following points for turning the industry around. Number one, identity swapping needs to stop. It's most important to maintain the lineage, integrity, and culture of these classic characters. For example, Black Panther, an original African superhero, is one of the most popular superheroes today, as seen in multi-million-dollar blockbuster movies, such as Black Panther and Wakanda Forever. Race swapping and gender bending of characters only serves to weaken both the heroes and the storyline. Each group should have its own superhero and character representations that originate organically from its own unique culture and narratives. This was the secret success formula in the X-Men. Number two, cut the number of titles Marvel is producing. According to my source, Marvel is currently releasing about 80 new titles per month. This number needs to be reduced by half so that the focus is on quality versus quantity. In addition, price points for a comic book should be reduced dramatically to make the budget friendly and accessible by many. Number three, clearly delineate between good and evil. Let heroes be good and villains be evil. Anything else can possibly confuse or frustrate the readers or viewers. Number four, comics must be going back to an escapist art form, not to remind you of the troubles of everyday life. I am looking forward to the return